am back with Funky Blues, 2 years old. And in the last video we were talking about having them get used to and understand, and it's not about desensitizing, it's about really having them understand what we're asking of them that's not typical for their nature. So we're going to talk about steady pressure right now. So we worked with the tarp last time about putting it on them and just having them be okay with it, rubbing them all around with it. And there's a big difference between doing it when they're standing still versus doing it when they're in motion, right? Because typically horses only run when they're trying to get away from something in most cases. Not domesticated horses, but that's like their innate instinct. So I'm gonna put this over him now, and I'm just gonna see if I can get him to start to move a little bit and see how he handles that movement. Because I want him to be super relaxed, and these are good things to kind of gear him up over the next year of his life as we get him ready to be under saddle to understand everything that we're going to be teaching him. So I like that he just moved towards me right there, and that tarp I just cut tarps up so it's only like 2 feet wide, but it's like 10 feet long, so it can drape around him. I'm a big fan of using tarps when we get to that point in their training where it can kind of teach them by brushing up against them different pressures, different steady pressures, different direct pressures, indirect pressures. So it really helps them. It's a good little cheap tool that you can use that kind of, once we get them through the flag and then touching them and getting them comfortable with that, we can incorporate that. Remember, everything that we're doing is not flooding. It's a step-by-step process for him. So I might just going to ask him to see something that he already knows, which is just rotating the hind end around. So he gets a little stuck right there. So I'm just going to wait, ask him to keep that lateral flexion to the left, and see if he'll move the hind. So he's stuck right now. I'm going to help him with, I'm going to let him figure this out. He knows what I'm asking of him. I want him to explore this. So when we have a horse that's trying to explore and he's not shut down, we want to give him that opportunity to explore. If we always talk about how we start off with the least amount of pressure and we bring that pressure up till we see a result, but then that means the next time we ask, we start with the little amount of pressure again. And if we find that our horse might not be doing it at the second that we want, but they're really trying to figure it out, we don't want to ramp that pressure up. We want to keep it kind of low and let them sort through that. So as he's going through this, I might just change my body position and come over towards his head and then kind of come back towards him and see if I can get that front end to roll across like that. So that was better. So he got a little stuck and he wanted to do the right thing. He just didn't know how to do the right thing and how to get there. So by me kind of just moving my position and changing his thought process, it helped him to want to move that hind end, and see now he rolled that over there and faced me and is pretty darn happy. So as we go through this with them, it's very important that we always look for the try that they're giving us and always want to make sure that we're going to be supportive and guiding them and not just telling them what to do. So I'm going to do that same exercise again. I'm going to go up, I'm going to love on him, tell him he's being a really good boy, because he was super sensitive. If you watch some of the beginning videos with him, he was very reactive and what would you consider like hot, and now we want him to be sensitive and responsive instead of hot and reactive. And I want him to be relaxed through this and be okay. And he's learning. He's not there yet, but he's a baby. So I'm just going to roll around here again. So he gets stuck with that hind end again. Checking this tarp out. Come up, I'm going to give him some love. I want him to know that he's doing fine. Then I might ask him, I might come back over here. See if I can draw that front end over. And then I can get the hind end to step around. Good. So, and I spent a lot of time with him. So now we're going to go off to this other side. So we're catching his right eye, which in a lot of horses, that right eye is the tough eye for them, because we typically do everything with them on the ground on their left side. So I'm just going to ask him if he can roll that right hind under and see how he reacts to the other side. So this side I know he's more sensitive to, so I really want to be paying attention to that when I'm working with him. Get him to rock that front end over and see if he'll roll the hind end across. So I'll come back over here, see if I can draw that front end, give him a little bit of love. Good boy. So you can see right there really well that it was the hind end that was really that right hind. He was like, I'll move the front end, but that tarp's back there, I can feel it. And so we want to help him with that, help guide him with that. He's such a good boy. Ask him to come back over here. So he's stuck again. So these are the things that I want to work with him on. Can I get him to walk off over this way? Good. Now I might just ask him to follow me over this way. So instead of just pulling and yanking on him, I want to make it where it's fun for him, and I just get him to start to think and be like, okay, because anytime we have a horse, and think about this when you're riding your own horse, especially if they're a performance horse, is if they're worried about things around them and on them, they can't focus on us and what we want to do. So that being said, if we ask them, it's almost like if you've ever done dressage or if you've ever jumped and you are trying to remember your course, right? You're trying to remember your course or you're trying to remember your dressage test. If you don't have it down really well, you're not going to be focused on jumping or dressage. You're going to be focused on the what you're doing next, which then it takes away from your ride with your horse. So once that takes away the ride with your horse, then you guys can't be like really in sync with each other. So think about that. If you're a horse, it's not just about like your horse going around and jumping or doing dressage or doing barrels or doing whatever it is that they might do. It really comes down to them feeling so comfortable with their surroundings that they can focus and be relaxed on what we're partnering up them with them to do. So just something to think about when we're working with our horses. So like we had someone start a Polaris over here, so he looked at that and his head didn't go up really high, he just kind of looked over. If I ask him to come over here, I want to get that ear. More than anything else, I want to get his trust with me. Have him be totally in tune with me. So I'm going to ask him to walk in a circle this time. So this is his harder side again. So I'm going to ask him if he'll rock the front end across. Good. And I want him to get really light to that pressure of the line. I want him to be really, really light with that. Good boy. So I'll get him to see if he can rotate the hind end around. Good. Good. So we see there the reaction that was built up. So he was relaxed and he was trying to be a good boy, but then as soon as I touched his hip with my hand, he was like, oh my God, what was that? So I'm glad that that happened because it shows us that like as he's learning new things, we have to be very aware of getting him so relaxed to it that it's not just that he's just handling it, that he feels so good with it. So if I put this back on him now, so I want him to be relaxed with this on there. So you can see right here that right side is tricky for him, and that's why we want to work with it. So what I might do is instead of asking him to move, I might just pull this off of this side, come back around to this side, ask him to kind of follow this a little bit. Good boy. So if he's leaning back a little bit right there, I'm going to go back a couple steps and just rub him with this again. Very important. I'm going to rub him down with this. Take it away. So if I see that then all of a sudden he gets nervous with me walking up to it, I'll take 2 or 3 steps backwards. We get a nice breath right there. Come back up to him. Know that he's okay, that this is all good. Come back. See see if I can draw him towards me. Good, so we get a lick in 2. Good boy. Come back up to him. Stance is more relaxed this time. Good. So I might put this on him this time, and I might touch him in different places with it on him. Left side, so that we still know that right side is difficult for him. So I want to make sure that he's okay with that. We do all this before we get on them, so we're preparing them in our world how to be okay. So I'll come to his right side now, and I will work this right side a little bit. I'll touch him all over. I'll move this cart back and forth. I'll touch him in the hip. Make him feel comfortable. Come back up to his pole. Hi, buddy. You okay? You okay? Good boy. Give him a little kiss. Come back here. Back to the pole. Wiggle this around. Good boy. Ask him to take 1 step towards me. He's a little stuck, so I'm going to wait. Because he knows what I'm asking him. He just feels blocked by the tarp. Good boy. Release the pressure right away. So sometimes when we're training, we got to go back and forth with our pressure that we're giving them to help them understand. And if they all of a sudden are like, man, that's too much, we go back and we take our time. We be patient. So I hope you guys are enjoying this. We're going to follow this, but this is a huge part of his training, is to get him to be so relaxed that we touch him in different places. Any of your horses, we can touch them in different places. We can add different things, 1 step at a time, to get them to be so confident in themselves and so relaxed that they know that they don't have to be worried. They can focus on just being at peace with humans and what we're asking them to do in our world, and teach them how to do that the best way. I hope you guys have enjoyed this. If you do, please hit that subscribe button, and you can check out more content and follow Funky Blues Journey. Take care. Have a wonderful day.